down the drain outside of the cell. I mean,
that right there
is crazy.
That
okay, I don't know if that shit that was slipped to you in the blue Kool-Aid was also like had a laxative in it or something, but I mean, for fuck's sake, Ernie, that's unbelievable. That is quite a lot of excrement. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Then it says you had a water bottle they could see was full of liquid. The window cell was covered in urine and feces. We could not clearly identify the contents of the bottle. Officers attempted to negotiate and direct Shell to place the bottle on the floor and be compliant for about 20 minutes. Shell was not cooperative. Shell appeared as though he was looking right through us and often staring away from us as we spoke. Shell would state, "I'm putting it down now," begin motioning to place the water bottle down, and when officers moved slightly, he would return back to standing directly at the door. I can believe that part. Okay.
So yeah, that's true. That part there's true. I did look for all that. The 1,000-yard stare. I knew. I honestly thought that I was dying and I was going to give out my best fight ever. And there were 6 of them, and I'd already built myself up mentally for that. I knew, I'd had past training in martial arts. I knew that I could, I was going to give my best. Literally, I was going to give my best no matter what. And the water bottle was going to be used as a distraction. Everything was going to be used, in a tactical way, a distraction. That's why I had to, I was ready for the stun. I was ready for the tasers. I wasn't ready for the chemical spray, but I was ready for the tasers.
They really, man. Then it says, after a prolonged period of time, it was clear our efforts to de-escalate and negotiate Shell into compliancy were not effected. I decided that officers would go into the cell and place Shell into handcuffs and onto the stretcher. A plan was developed to best enter the cell with officers present to do so safely and swiftly. Now, this part is very, hold on, where did it go? Swiftly. They began attempting to speak with Shell through the cell door. They were concerned with the feces and urine on the floor, which had begun running out of the cell to the floor to the hallway drain. Shell had taken one blanket and wrapped it around his mind. After a prolonged period, it was clear our efforts to de-escalate. Sorry, y'all. Hang on. Okay. I was reading the same page. My bad. Let me get to the. Okay. An officer held a clear plastic riot shield.
Let me say something. Mm-hmm. In their police reports, here's something else too. They messed up. They said they have hallway drains, right? It plainly says in that. There's no hallway drains present. My lawyer knocked that out too. Only drains are in the cell. Why would you put drains in a hallway going to a cell?
For people that do that kind of shit that you allegedly do.
There's no way humanly possible that much could ever do that and spread out like that. You couldn't do that. That's impossible.
I mean, I have never experienced. I don't know, but I mean, if you were doing.
The cell. Listen to me. The cell is made to where it goes down. It's not a how you say it. It's not elevated. The cell is not like it's not balanced out. Okay, it goes down to a drain. So anything pours out in the cell. Anybody been to jail? If you're in like the cell part there,
it's like a shower.
It's flaming. It goes down. Shit can't go up, Katie. Just say that. It can't go up and out to the door. There's no way possible. That's because if it floods anything in there, it can't get out into the hallways because people like to flood toilets and stuff. And it can't get out into the hallways because it has to slant down. The vent's in the middle. Okay. That's why my lawyer had this. That's why they had to drop all this stuff.
Okay. So then, you did not comply.
No, I was going to fight the police. That was true. That's true right off the bat.
You intentionally threw the bottle containing the liquid towards the officer at close range based on the extensive presence of urine and feces throughout the cell, including on the floor walls and on Shell's body. Officers reasonably believe the liquid to contain bodily fluids. So let me
ask you a question. It says Shell's body. I was wrapped up in a blanket. There was nothing on me. Nothing there anyway.
Ernie, Dookie can get anywhere. Okay, we can't. Yes, we don't know for sure, but it was. I mean, technically, if it was on the blanket, it was all. I mean, come on now. You probably got a little.
It wasn't on. I wouldn't wrap myself in a Dookie blanket, Katie. Come on.
Well, I mean, after the fact, I don't know. Okay,
anyway,
the liquid made contact with officers and equipment, contaminating them with suspected bodily fluids. As a result of the exposure, officers feared potential transmission of communicable disease. Officers were later advised that Shell, blah blah blah, may be positive due to the exposure risk. Officers required. Our efforts were immediately counterproductive due to the amount of urine. Dude, they're acting like you were an elephant in there or something.
That's exactly. And my lawyer was like, well, how much can one person put out like that? Like, this is lies. Because when we asked, okay, so here's the thing. The camera footage exists. They had the camera footage. They were willing to use that against me until my lawyer said, prove it. And then they was like, well, because he's like, you have to submit the camera footage over to us. They was like, hell no, they wouldn't want to do that. So that's why they had to drop the felonies.
Mm-hmm. This part is.
I broke the riot shield, Katie. So, it talks about that too. Damage property. That's what it was. Yeah.